Hey, welcome back to Pop Trigger. Today we're going to be talking about the 7 bad science and health trends that should die in 2016. Now, this is coming from Vox.com, and I think we can, sort of talk about them if we agree.
I'm really excited, yeah.
There are a couple of them that I think are just sort of staples in in the wide belief system, so I don't know if this is going to go away. But the first one they say is that exercise will help you lose weight. And as someone who has lost so much weight, Hasan, do you think this should die in 2016?
I 100% agree with this.
Okay,
I mean, obviously there's nuance to that statement, right?
It's a blanket statement.
Yes. They're just trying to put a catchy title on it so that you pay attention. But what they mean by that is that exercise does not help you lose weight. Not eating helps you lose weight. No. I always say this. What I mean by that, eating well. But not eating. It's all about calories in, calories out. It's a very scientific and also pretty logical process. And 80% of weight loss happens in the kitchen, and only 20% will be from working out. I say this all the time, and this pertains to cardio, because a lot of people think that they can eat whatever they want, and then they go in and spend half an hour to an hour on the treadmill. There's so much nuance to it.
I thought this. I used to think this.
Not true at all. Not true at all. I lost 80 pounds by not even doing a single minute of cardio, but instead working out still, but mostly because I was dieting well.
Yeah, the battle really is in the kitchen. But of course, working out is great and preventative of other health issues, for example, type 2 diabetes.
And you can also build muscle if you do proper lifts and stuff like that, or increase your cardio. These are still very effective ways of making yourself healthier. It's just, in order to lose weight, you can't just go on a treadmill and then
the blanket
stuff your face
statement
with McDonald's.
We should leave that in the past and move forward and progress our ideas of how to be healthy and well in 2017. The second science fact, I guess, that they say should die with 2016 is there's been no global warming since 1998.
Yeah.
Wait, this was a little bit confusing to me, Vox.com, because I haven't heard this.
Oh, I thought you were going to be like, this is confusing to me because what is global warming, Vox.com?
Global warming's a myth.
It's a myth created by the Chinamen, according to Donald Trump.
Oh my God. I think, what circles is this going around in? This can't be that pervasive because I haven't heard this before.
No, it is. It is 100%. So the reason, again, there's nuance to this statement. I keep saying that, but the concept is that the world temperatures haven't been steadily increasing, as scientists say, or sometimes they'll point to the Arctic ice, for example, and be like, oh, well, Arctic ice is growing. Yes, technically it is, but it's still melting. The glaciers and the sea levels are still rising. So it's a complicated scientific
So
concept.
I guess basically the people, the climate change deniers are saying that because there has been fluctuation, that is, I guess proof that climate change is not happening at the rate that scientists are indicating. Okay, that seems like climate change is just such a fact. It's just so scientifically true. I'm always a little bit baffled when people say, or it's like the dinosaurs existed 2,000 years ago. It's very difficult for me to wrap my brain around.
Jesus riding a velociraptor in the battle.
It was awesome.
So yes, of course. I mean, creationists will debate that the world only, the world's very young and dinosaurs were around when Jesus was around. But and Ben Carson is one of them, and he will be in Donald Trump's cabinet. Also, speaking of another member of Donald Trump's cabinet, the head of the EPA, who doesn't believe that climate change is a real thing. He thinks it's frivolous. Well, he's not a scientist, but he thinks all of that science mumbo-jumbo is silly.
That's a quote. He said it was silly.
He didn't say mumbo-jumbo, but he did say it was silly. Oh, you silly goose.
You know what's silly? The fact that my mom keeps interrupting this with her side comments. That's silly. Climate change isn't silly. I love you, Mom. The third fact, or the third widely assumed belief that Vox says we should move away from in 2017 is that antibiotics cure colds. So a little bit more about this. Antibiotics treat bacterial infection. Cold and flu are caused by viruses. So I don't know why that had never really occurred to me before.
I never take antibiotics because I am terrified of the resistance building overall, and that's a big reason why public health professionals literally have been begging the public to stop using antibiotics to try to treat cold, and unfortunately doctors still prescribe it. Now, antibiotics do treat certain things like syphilis, like gonorrhea. These are really important diseases that are also developing and mutating and developing resistance to those antibiotics. The more we use them, the more diseases that are prevalent become stronger and can kill you.
Well, I think
if left untreated.
I think in 2017, what we need to sort of challenge ourselves to do is make sure that we are aware of the terminologies that are being used, that bacteria and a virus are not the same. But a lot of times when we, just in our daily rhetoric, we say that they are akin to each other, which they are not. And that's the sort of misconception that would lead people to believe that antibiotics are sort of the all-encompassing treatment for any and all sicknesses. So it's a good thing to just educate yourself on for 2017, for a happy and healthy 2017. The fourth one, I really like this one. This is the fourth scientific or health notion that we should move away from, is willpower helps you accomplish goals.
This is the one I don't necessarily completely agree with.
Yeah, I don't know about this one. So give me your reasoning and then I'll tell you what Vox is saying.
Well, because, I have a system of kind of putting a structure around willpower. I believe in healthy habits. I believe in the 21-day method, where if you develop a healthy habit and you force yourself to do it for 21 days, it becomes a part of your daily routine, and then and then you can do it without even thinking about it. Now, I have certain healthy habits like that, like I track my macros or my food intake. I go to the gym every day. These are healthy habits that I've developed.
When you said macros, I was immediately thinking, like, I track my macaroni and cheese. I make sure that I'm eating all the mac and cheese that I need to be eating every day. One bowl does a body good. Sorry, go on. I have no idea what macros are because I'm healthy.
Well, we're talking about science, and you're like, yeah, macros. I mean macaroni and cheese. Eat it. It's good.
It's a fire joke. You guys should come see me perform.
Yeah, I know.
Finish your bit about your jokes, about your macros.
All I was saying is, and I think that willpower does help in that regard. Willpower helps me helps me develop good habits.
Well, here's what they are saying. Psychologists are increasingly finding that willpower alone is an ineffective strategy. Several psychologists Vox talked to this year echoed the same thought. We don't seem to be all that good at self-control. And that was a psychologist at the University of Pittsburgh who said that. Basically, it's an acknowledgement that if you find yourself in front of a pile of cookies, the pile of cookies has already won, which I think is a little bit interesting, that if you find yourself in those situations of temptation, that you are already being tempted. So I agree with this statement. Again, it is sort of a lot of the things that Vox included on their list are catchy, so that they want you to keep reading and they want you to talk about it, which is exactly what we're doing.
Like Hillary Clinton will definitely be the president in 2017.
That's not on their list.
That
was
their catchy title for the entire election cycle. Thank you, Ezra Klein. You contributed to Donald Trump winning.
Oh my God.
Sorry, had to plug that in there.
No, so I think that they make a good point where it's that if you are thinking and acknowledging your temptations, or if you are finding yourself in a position where you are being tempted, then you already sort of failed. Like, your willpower let you down, which is compelling. But I also do think that there are ways to strengthen your willpower. And when I think willpower, I think focus. I think it comes down to your focus and your motivation. So you have to look at it as like a tool, as a muscle that you need to exercise. But I think about it sort of in the realm of like cheating, which I know is not really a goal that anyone sets. Like, my goal is not to cheat. But is
it very difficult for you?
No.
I just mean, there's so much temptation. I'm gonna stop myself.
No, but think
you just hit yourself with a belt every night.
I think about it this way: like on television shows, a lot of times there's a lot of fluctuation between couples, and you'll have like one member of a couple will be like out studying late with someone that's not their significant other, and then they like have this moment where they almost cheat, you know, and then they go tell the significant other, like, oh, I didn't cheat, like, I was out late at the library with Janice, but like nothing happened, but which is true, but still you like put yourself in a position to be tempted, like your willpower wasn't that strong if you're at the library late with Janice. Is anyone sticking with me on this one? Is this just me? I don't understand how people cheat all the time on television shows. So the fifth point, we're moving right along. The fifth point is that GMOs are unsafe to eat. Can you comment on that, please, and get me out of here?
No, I'm just gonna let you keep. Let's go back to Janice.
I'm sweating. No, so the GMOs are safe to eat, are unsafe to eat. That's a big thing that they want to move away from, Vox says, 2017.
This is a heavily debated subject, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. The only thing I do know is the age-old adage of, when I went to Europe, I ate like crazy, darling, but nothing happened. I never gained any weight. But when I come back to America, I'm so fat. Like that revolves around GMOs, because like a lot of Europeans, they still are trying to actively combat GMOs and failing for the most part. And there's a huge reason why Monsanto is the devil, but it doesn't completely pertain to the negative health effects, the adverse health effects that GMOs may or may not have. So I'm conflicted on this subject, but I do see that. I mean, I grew up in a country where it was pretty GMO free up until recently, and I know what real fruit looks like. Wow. And real vegetables look like, and I was always confused. Like, for example, cucumbers are not meant to be this long and this thick. That's not a cucumber. I don't know what the fuck that is.
That's a penis.
No, that is. No, this is a penis. No wonder you're a lesbian if you think this is. If you think this is a penis.
They're huge. Guys, don't forget my mother is in the room right now as this conversation is happening.
Oh, so you're the one who brought up penises.
Not to brag.
Yeah, but what I was saying is, one of the things that GMOs contribute to is certain bacteria that can't develop in your body. I think this is like, I'm being super pseudoscientific right now. Like I'm being that guy, but and apparently those bacteria won't eat the nutrients that normally they would in a GMO-free body, and therefore that's the reason why a lot of people feel bloated, a lot of people feel slower now than they used to, and that it creates a lot of medical issues down the line, like diabetes being one of them.
What Vox says, a couple of their points on why we should move away from saying that GMOs are unsafe to eat. They say scientists haven't found any upticks in obesity or cancer or gastrointestinal illnesses or allergies that could plausibly be correlated with the introduction of GM foods anywhere in the world. This has been corroborated by animal studies, which, while imperfect, have found no particular dangers from eating GM foods. So it sounds like the information that they're going off of is...
there is an uptick. There's definitely an uptick in all of those things that they mentioned. The problem there is that they're saying that it's not directly linked to GM foods. Now, if you're like me and you believe, you're like a little terrified of large corporations possibly funding studies, that does happen very frequently, and we cover it on the show too sometimes, like how the sugar lobby was... or how the corn lobby successfully brought in high fructose corn syrup to the American diet, and that's why America is leading in obesity, and now Mexico as well. So, like, that's not true. I mean, just because studies have conclusively proved something, nowadays, unfortunately, doesn't necessarily mean that that is a fact.
I know. Isn't that sucky? The age of fake news.
It's not just, we created the fake news.
So point number 6, and I have a feeling that my mother is going to have a little bit of an issue with this one, is that homeopathy is a real medical treatment. Apparently we got to move away from this in 2017.
I would agree.
You would agree?
100%.
Why? Why would you agree? I've been at the receiving end of a lot of homeopathic medicine from my mother.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's such a wide, like, I could just make so many, like, lesbian jokes there for, like, homeopathy. You mean homeopathy? I don't know. That was terrible. Oh, my God. I can't believe I did.
That's homophobic.
Okay. Let's get back to the point at hand.
Yes.
This is a very long story, by the way. Good job. So I largely agree with that statement because the placebo effect and the brain is an incredibly powerful organ. And I think that a big chunk of homeopathic treatments actually stem from the placebo effect and how you feel like this is actually working. If you fully subscribe to that idea that, you know, this oil that you rub on your skin will clear out your eczema, and then because you truly believe it, it starts working, and that's a thing that really happens. So
I go back and forth on this one. I think that there are some homeopathic remedies that have a basis in truth and that are sort of, go back to like honey and lemon and hot water to clear up a sore, not like if your throat's a little bit sore. Like there are medicinal remedies, but I do think that to move away from them being, you know, the end all and be all as a medical form of treatment is the correct thing to do in 2017. Vox says, quote, "The scientific community is monolithically stacked against homeopathy. There have been many studies, books, and investigations demonstrating that this type of therapy is bogus. There's so much evidence on homeopathy's failure to help people. In fact, that some researchers have argued it's time to stop investing government research funding on this alternative therapy in favor of putting it into treatments that might actually help people."
That's unfair. I don't think we should take funding away from homeopathic treatments. I don't think that's true at all, especially because in the end of the day, there have been many instances where homeopathic treatments have moved into Western medicine, like modern medicine. Like even what you mentioned with the honey and tea, like that's a remedy that actually works. It helps with your throat. Like that's legitimate. Do you know what I mean? But if you have diabetes, like eating this, kombucha root or whatever the fuck is not going to help cure your diabetes. You need insulin. Like you need that.
Yeah. And then the seventh and last point that we should be moving away from in 2017 is power posing will make you act powerful. And this guy is such a power poser. So
I hate the whole power posing concept.
What, we should move away from it in 2017?
I think it's so stupid.
Why? I mean,
no,
it's
because
stupid,
the whole concept is that the whole idea is that before you go into an interview, do a power pose and you'll feel more energetic and confident, and it'll totally come across as that, like, even if your resume doesn't show it, just do a frickin' power pose. It's so stupid. It's so stupid because it's
just a physical way of psyching yourself up.
I know,
right?
but it doesn't really work. And also, this is the problem with the psychology community, where it's like, I mean, it's not an exact science because you're working with humans that are malleable and can completely change their minds on certain things. They can be influenced throughout the study. And unfortunately, this is one of those poppy science studies that came out years ago where it's like, yeah, if you, before an interview, you do a power pose, like, you'll be powerful and you get the job.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Well,
Work hard.
There's so many variables that people are not considering when they look at the initial study that came out with regards to power posing. There's so many, I think you make a good point, like hormonal variables that would come into effect. There's just a lot of factors to consider, more so than just someone power posing before they go into a meeting or an interview or something.
And by the way, I mean, these studies are like, the reason why I believe in modern medicine, and I still want to believe in it, is because even though now we have these studies, and John Oliver did a really good piece on this about how most studies that are coming out nowadays are shit because they're constantly driven by shorter goals, and like they want to make something, they want to make like sexy studies so that they'll get more publicity around their research, and usually one of the big problems is that studies don't get counter studies that don't get enough funding,
or peer-reviewed
studies. So you got to pick and choose what you believe in, obviously, and really do your research. Even when you look at studies, that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about some other stuff about GMOs, for example. But they tried replicating this study multiple times over the past 6 years to little or no. I mean, they couldn't replicate it. If you can't replicate it, then it's debunked.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good point to end on. I would say in what I want to move towards in 2017 is a year of realizing that we live in an age of fake news. Therefore, the the onus comes onto us as the consumers. We need to get better at checking our sources and making sure that we stay educated.
Always believe in everything we say, though.
And believe absolutely everything that Hasan and I say, because if we are telling you about an article from Vox.com, we would never lead you astray. Guys, on that note, we want to hear from you in the comment section below. What do you think needs to die in 2016? What are some trends?
Mike Pence.
No, would you stop?
Donald Trump.
Oh my God, no,
Kim
you
Kardashian.
can't say that. Okay, so you let us know in the comment section below. What are you looking forward to in 2017? What do we need to move away from
Martin Shkreli.
From 2016? Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Dear God, Hasan Piker. We'll see you next time on Pop Trick.